Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to 428 Shibuya Scramble. I am here with Yoshi.
What's up, folks?
And we are hopefully in the final stretch. Well, we're in the final segment of the main story. So, we'll see how far we get. Do you remember what happened last time, besides bombs exploding?
I remember we died the same way a bunch of times, and I remember that we didn't make a lot of progress. And I remember thinking, gee, they really like making us go through the same sequence a bunch of times, huh?
Yeah, that's
And
what
then you
happens.
said,
That's how I felt with this, when I first played through this. Quite a bit of,
yeah, you said it was because they don't know which thread you're going to encounter that bad end first,
yeah,
so they want to
that
make
too.
sure you get to experience it in all its glory. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, dog. I don't really remember other than that.
Yeah,
I
like
remember
what
asking you some
happens?
riddles.
Oh yeah, we did some riddles. I'm ready. I'm excited for that. Um, yeah. So Jack is still driving, or Stanley is still driving. Tateno, um, shot at Alphard and then died.
Yeah.
And these two blew up. Achi and Kano blew up, but they've slowly been like surviving like a few minutes at a time, and then they blow up. Then we make a decision to
Okay.
decide survive a few minutes more.
So what you're saying is that I nailed it.
Yeah, you're nailing it.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, and then Kano was haggling with Leland Palmer a lot, and then he slowly realized that he was just a patsy.
Yeah.
Is that a term? Patsy?
Patsy?
Yeah. Is that bad? I feel like maybe you're not supposed to say that anymore.
I don't
I
know.
hope not.
It does seem like a very outdated word.
Yeah.
Like I
All right.
I
I'll
don't
try to
think
do
kids
better.
these days say that. They probably say something like he was sus.
He was sus.
He was
He
sus.
was so sus.
He was the Among Us, you know.
I mean, he kind of was, right? Because he was like pretending to be Alphard.
Yeah. But we got him. Is this the jump
All right, so
to Stanley? We'll
do
see.
you,
I have to remember where exactly we are. I think the thing is saving Tateno. I think I know how to save him. But we'll see. We'll see
okay?
how this leads. This might lead to another bad end just because Tateno's dead. Please, don't let me be too late, he muttered to himself as he waited for the call to connect. Achi was quick to pick up.
Mr. Stanley, what's going on?
How did the negotiations go?
The detective caught Alphard.
Achi replied happily.
He got him to give up the password, and I think he's called the folks at the lab. Does that mean the case is closed then?
No, not yet. Right now I need you to do exactly as I tell you. There was a pause before Achi responded.
Let me take the battery out of the phone and say, what? What's going on?
Yeah, I think we've seen this. If you want to save Hitomi, then shut up and listen, Stanley snapped. Just tell him, Stanley.
All right. Just tell me what to do, Stanley.
First, you need to power down Hitomi's cell phone.
Turn off the phone? What for?
I'm pretty sure that there's a bomb somewhere near your location. Stanley tried to keep his voice as calm and steady as possible. Nailed it.
A bomb?
Achi's voice squeaked into falsetto. That guy, Kano, just apprehended, is a decoy. The real Alphard is
Hit you a
planning...
little garden path.
What was that?
Sorry. They hit you a little garden path sentence there.
Yeah, they got me. The real Alphard is planning to eliminate Hitomi and the false Alphard at the same time. Stanley didn't have the time to explain that Kanan was Alphard. Besides, it would only confuse the matter all the more at this point. Listen, first turn off that cell phone, then go and look for the bomb.
Okay, got it.
Achi hung up. Vroom, vroom. Hopefully the team at the Scramble would be able to pull through. Now Stanley needed to focus on capturing Alphard. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. His emotions were coming on far too strongly for him to keep them in check. In the back of his mind, Stanley thought about the last he'd ever seen of Frank. There had been nothing left of his brother but a bloodied hand reaching out from beneath the rubble. Even since that day, I think that's supposed to be ever.
Yeah, probably.
Even since that day, since that very moment, Jack Stanley had sworn vengeance upon Alphard. He would never forget the rage he'd felt at having what was left of his family taken from him. Do you still want to give his brother Leland Palmer's voice? Okay.
Yes, don't question me. Hey Jack, once this is all tidied up, I'm going to need a drink. Let's you and me have a beer together.
Hey Jack, I would hate it if you and me had a beer together. Sure, you got it. Stanley sprang into action, leading away the throng of panicking civilians.
Is that a throng? That was like 4 people.
So I'm pretty sure this is still in Japan, partly because of that exit sign, even though it's supposed to be in Chicago, and they couldn't find that many foreigners, you know.
Oh.
So there's just the 4.
But they have an African American guy. That's pretty cool. I got a gentleman in a hat.
Is it a hat? Is that a baseball cap? Backwards?
I thought it was like a newsboy's cap.
We've got almost
What do
30
you call
minutes
that?
left. He'll be fine. What did you say?
Oh god, no. I just saw him at a hat. Keep going.
Backup will definitely be here in time. He did his utmost to reassure himself, but still, the doubts gnawed. When the bomb squad descended upon the area clad in their protective gear, Stanley shot a look at his watch. This is what protective gear is, by the way. They're called explosive ordnance disposal suits. He felt a surge of relief. Only about 15 minutes had passed. There was still plenty of time for them to deactivate the bomb with their liquid nitrogen. Thank God. Frank's going to be all right. But he got no chance to relish that thought. There was an ear-splitting boom as a powerful shockwave shook the area. Stanley whirled back around, staring in horror at the place that his brother had been. Nothing remained but a mound of rubble. A later investigation would reveal that the timer on the bomb's exterior had been a mere ruse. The explosive had never linked to a timer at all. Instead, it had been detonated via remote control.
Ooh, what's that?
A remote control, so you know when electrical detonators capable of triggering an explosion with
Yes.
electrical current were invented?
Yeah, totally.
Well, those quickly rendered old-style fuses obsolete. See,
Oh no.
in a modern day, such as today, many terrorists use small electronics such as cellular phones and keyless entry remotes for cars as explosive triggers.
Wow. I'm
Not
glad we
timers.
picked them up. No, not timers.
That's why you don't see time bombs in TV shows or movies anymore.
You don't?
No, I'm sure you do. When was the last time you saw a time bomb in a show?
I have this vague memory, but I can't think of what it was. So probably, actually a long time ago.
I think I know. There's like a. Have you seen that show Murderville?
No, I don't even think I've heard of it.
Oh, it's pretty funny.
Is it like a parody kind of thing?
Will Arnett is like this detective, and it's like a murder mystery, but they bring in like a celebrity guest, but the celebrity guest is not given a script. And so the celebrity guest is actually trying to figure out the murder.
Sounds kind of fun.
But there's like improv stuff going on. Where like Will Arnett tells him to like, oh, you gotta go undercover and say whatever I say, and he makes him say like poop and stuff. You gotta say I eat poop. And they have to say it.
Classic Will Arnett.
Stuff like that. Pretty funny. Anyways, Alphard had deceived them, using a visible timer to lull them into a false sense of security. Stanley managed to save many lives that day, to be sure, but it had come at the cost of his own brother's life. Had he really made the best decisions he could have made? He was still asking himself the same
trolley
question
problem
over and over, even now. That's why he's willing to sacrifice all of Shibuya for this, for Maria. But no matter how much he blamed himself, it wouldn't bring Frank back. If there was one thing he could still do for his brother, it was getting revenge on Alphard with his own hands. Stanley had been in constant pursuit of Alphard ever since. He would stoop to any level for information, without remorse. His opponent was someone who would do anything at all to achieve a goal. It only made sense for him to do the same. At some point, he'd stopped even hesitating to get his own hands dirty. He would charge headlong into any danger if he sensed Alphard's presence. Even his own life was a price he was willing to pay in the name of vengeance. He could never hope to latch his jaws onto his quarry's throat if he behaved like prey himself. He must be the greater predator. Wow, this is still going. He would cast aside his humanity, would become a blood-stained beast if that improved his chances at the hunt. For the hunt was all that mattered. Pursuit of Alphard had become his only purpose. So it had been for the past 2 years. Now those years flashed through Stanley's mind in the blink of an eye. As he came back into the moment, he marveled at his own ferocity, and at the depth of the wound he'd suffered.
If I don't sink to her level, I'll never be able to beat her.
If I don't sink to her level... Oh wait, that's not his voice. If I don't sink to her level, I'll never be able to beat her. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I just said you say this because you had paused for a while. That's okay. Maybe you're picking your nose or something.
I was considering whether I should tell you something about these scenes.
That I'm making a huge mistake.
No.
You can tell me.
There's like a true ending that only appears if you chose like the specific choices. A true ending that adds a little bit more to the ending. Anyways,
okay.
So
if we
don't hit that, I can just go back and I'll tell you what the choices are if I remember. I might have to look them up. Anyways, Stanley's heart had room for nothing but revenge and Kano. The law wasn't going to punish Alphard. Stanley was. He didn't care if anyone else thought it was a petty vendetta. Only someone who'd suffered the loss of a loved one at the hands of a vicious killer could understand his seething resentment.
I wouldn't say that's petty. Would be like if someone took your chair at a meeting or something. This dude killed his brother. That's not really That's not petty.
Anyways, the Akoshi Pharmaceutical Lab finally came into view. A large billow of black smoke was rising from one of the building's windows. Stanley felt a chill in the pit of his stomach. He hopped out of the car and then gasped. Tateno! The detective was sprawled face down on the ground outside the laboratory gate, his gun still in his hand. Blood had pooled around his head. He had been shot at close range. Death would have been instantaneous. All too late, Stanley felt the full weight of his mistake. Tateno had gone up against an opponent who was out of his league and had gotten himself killed. And Stanley had put him up to it. He should never have let Tateno try to handle the situation on his own. He should have done whatever it took to stop the detective. There must have been some way he could have averted this disaster. Wow, it's really showing you, like, what you did wrong.
Thanks, King.
Saving Maria is your top priority, isn't it?
Basically, that's right.
There had been no hesitation in Tateno's words. Stanley had known how badly the man wanted to save Maria. That's why he deferred to the detective's judgment. Now he was faced with the results of his own naivete. The smoke pouring from the building showed no signs of diminishing. In all likelihood, the lab had been destroyed with the bomb. Alphard's plan had run its course before Stanley had even got there. He couldn't forgive himself for having been so thoroughly outwitted, nor would he ever forgive Alphard for what the terrorist had done. Anger erupted inside of him, raging like hellfire, driving him on to action. Death would be too kind a fate for Alphard. Now more than ever before, the thirst for vengeance consumed him. But even as he began to stalk toward the laboratory, a bullet caught Stanley in the abdomen. For a moment he couldn't process what had happened. There was an intense searing pain that spread through his gut. Warm liquid began to soak through his shirt. Then a figure emerged from within the smoke. Who is it? Who could it be?
Honestly, I'm not 100%. But if I had to guess, like if you put a gun to my head, or should I say abdomen, and I had to guess, I would say, I think it's Shizuo. I guess that's actually Alphard. I've been waiting for you to show up, Jack.
Another bullet tore through Stanley's body. Time seemed to slow for him. He watched the spray of blood scattering like a crimson mist. Alphard! Stanley hissed the word through clenched teeth. Out of pure, stubborn spite, he managed to stay on his feet, tottering toward his foe. He raised his gun. Ooh, we got a little clip here. He didn't stop pulling the trigger until the very moment his world went dark. Bad end. Defiant to the last. Cool.
So we have to go back to when we were talking to Tateno.
Yeah. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Yeah. So we told them to shoot. But
yeah, that was one of those times that I kind of knew it probably wasn't the right thing to do, but it's like the one I wanted to do. So so we want B, right?
Yeah.
Find some way to stall?
Find some way to stall until I get there. If she realizes we're onto her, you're done for. Hey, he hung up on me. Alright, and then I think we're good, right? Yeah, I can skip forward. Okay, so who do you want to go to? Tateno or Jack?
I guess let's stick with Jack.
Alright, let's see what happens. Darn, I can't go any further. Alright, so it had been for the past 2 years. Now those years flashed through Stanley's mind in the blink of an eye, as he came back into the moment, blah 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 blah. You want to keep this choice?
Let's say, it seems to prefer when we act somewhat benevolently. So let's say if I do get my revenge, what would Frank think?
If I do get my revenge, what would Frank think? Then Stanley pictured his younger brother. It wasn't with a smile on his face. Uh-oh. The realization gave him pause. In the end, killing Alphard wouldn't bring his brother back. That went without saying. But although he could see now that revenge was an absurd goal, his heart still churned deep and dark with resentment. Finally, the Akoshi Pharmaceutical Laboratory came into view. Alright, let's see what's happening with Tateno. There were 2 people standing outside the front gate. It was Tateno and the girl who was pretending to be Kanan. Each had a gun drawn on the other. Somehow, Stanley had made it in time. He pulled his car up alongside them and reached down into the gun sleeve concealed beside his seat. He pulled out a .44 caliber Desert Eagle, one of the most powerful semi-automatic handguns in the world. Is that how you say it? You say 44? It's not .44?
Yeah, 40. No, I said 44.
I'm not a gun guy. A semi-automatic handgun designed by Minnesota-based Magnet Research Incorporated and manufactured by Israeli Weapon Industries. This is not a very good accent.
That's not your finest work.
There are various models chambered for different rounds. The largest, the 50 Action Express, is exceptionally powerful by semi-automatic handgun standards.
You didn't shoot ROTC. You didn't shoot a lot of guns there.
I did shoot one gun, but I didn't really care about them.
Oh. That sounds like the funnest part.
It was kind of cool, I guess. But it wasn't like, I didn't care to like learn about it. I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll just try it. I don't know.
That's fair.
His orders were to apprehend Alphard. The smaller Glock in his shoulder holster might be better suited to that end. Even so, he opted for the Desert Eagle. Getting out of the car, he started pacing toward the young woman.
Spin.
Tateno glanced over at him, his face pale. Stanley gave a silent nod in reply. He could see the hint of a smile on the girl's face. Probably a smile of overconfidence. Well, her brazenness would get her no further. I got in touch with the others, Stanley said. Told them to turn off Itomi Osawa's cell phone. He could see her eyes react. I imagined that, by now, they've also managed to deal with the bomb you planted on your decoy. The young woman remained silent. And, of course, they've managed to bypass the lock inside the lab. You know what this means? Your little plan has failed. Completely. Stanley could see the girl's stare sharpen. He'd chased Alphard all around the world, only to arrive here, at last, in this little island nation. It had been a long, long journey. He'd spent a long time suffering. Now both the journey and the suffering meet at last, Alphard. Ooh, okay, we are pretty close to the end. Stanley's done.
How come half the time when it says end of someone's story, they just stay in the story?
I think it just means the end of
Them as like a
their,
player character.
yeah. Like they finished their character arc, I suppose. Although I feel like Maria's end wasn't exactly the end of her character arc.
No, no, she stuck around for quite a while and did like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I think part of her ending was just so it's a little more, you're not sure whether she survived that face-off. And also
Okay.
probably to hide this, because she just shows up and then gets knocked out, you know? She doesn't really have much to do. From her point of view, I suppose. Because she's knocked out for most of it. She becomes the MacGuffin. Anyways, let's go to Tenno. See what happens when we're aiming at Kanan. Tenno said, oh, should we change any of this? Or you want to keep it? Hey, try anything.
Let's keep it. Let's keep it. Try anything funny, and I'll make sure you regret it.
He kept his gun trained on the center of her chest.
You can't shoot me. Oh, you can't shoot me.
Kanan took another step closer.
You're still traumatized from that time you let your friend's wife die. How do you know about that?
Tenno was shaking now, his aim wavering.
I heard you talking with the younger detective up on that rooftop.
That was right, she had been there.
Let's test my theory out.
Kanan pointed her index finger at her own heart.
If you think I'm off Alphard, then shoot me right here. Huh?
The corner of her mouth twisted up.
You can't do it, can you?
Tenno's gun hand shook all the more.
You're afraid to pull the trigger.
It was as if her words were a spell she was casting over him.
You can hardly even stand the thought of pointing your gun at someone.
Kotone's final moments flashed through Tenno's mind. If he hadn't fired back then, maybe Kotone would still be alive.
Nah. The other guy killed Katana. Your friend's entire life was changed because of you.
Why hadn't he tried to talk the culprit down? He knew the reason why. Because he'd loved Kotone. He'd still loved her, even after she'd become Daisuke's wife. His desire to be the one who saved her had warped his sense of judgment when things had come down to the wire. Who was the voice of Kotone? I didn't expect any new characters to show up, so I don't have my
I think
book.
it's you. I think it was you.
Okay. Her voice is... This is her as a kid. Hold on. Tenno, do you not enjoy being with me? There is a forlorn look on Kotone's face. I'm trying to make it sound like Achi's voice. Because they all got the same voice, right? That whole family.
Oh wait, because that's Achi's mom. Yeah.
Did I nail it?
You nailed it.
Okay.
You know what? You just nailed it.
It wasn't that he didn't enjoy being with her. Her very presence soothed him. But the more serious their relationship had grown, the more it tore at Tateno's heart. The truth was that he didn't really know what happiness was, and so he was incapable of making someone else happy. If it were possible, he'd want Kotone to be smiling always, and that meant her being with someone other than him.
Basically, I think it would be best if we stop seeing each other.
Tateno blurted out the words bluntly, and Kotone's face fell. He hadn't broken up with her because of any lack of feeling for her. Rather, the impulse had actually sprung out of his pursuit of human warmth, and his growing fear of losing it. He'd just been so uneasy. He was just an emo teen. More than anything, he'd been afraid that he wanted too much love and affection from Kotone.
It's a bad reason to break up with your girlfriend.
Sorry, I love you too much. We gotta stop seeing each other. Bit by bit, Tateno lowered his gun, his hand ever more unsteady. His heart was on the cusp of breaking. And still Kanan continued with her diabolic whispering.
You can go ahead and kill me. But if it turns... Oh. Damn it. You can go ahead and kill me. But if it turns out I'm not Alphard, what then?
Now she stared at Tateno with an almost pitiable look. That's a very pitiable smile.
You'll have once more done something that you can never undo. Something I can never undo.
Tateno repeated the words dully, feeling himself forced into a trance.
That's right. Could you ever accept that? No, I couldn't. Couldn't make the same mistake.
His whole body felt like it might fall apart. He wanted to drop to the ground and curl up in a ball like a child.
And that's why you can't shoot anyone. I can't shoot anyone.
As Tateno muttered the words, Kano's face appeared in the back of his mind.
I can't.
I can. Tears fell from Kano's eyes as he looked down the barrel of his gun at Tateno. He'd become a detective who didn't lose sight of what he was supposed to protect, no matter the situation. Tateno had nearly forgotten. Nearly abandoned his inward promise to be a detective worthy of that final salute Kano had given him. He brought his gun back up to bear.
Don't be absurd.
Kanan mocked.
You can't shoot anyone. Actually, I can.
The words creaked dryly from Tateno's throat.
When there's something I'm supposed to protect, I can shoot.
The memory of Kano weeping but taking aim had given him the resolve he needed to face down an opponent who ought to have terrified him.
Basically, I learned that from someone who was terrible at his job.
Kanan's eyes went cold. Immediately she lifted up her gun again. Once more their eyes locked, sparks of hostility crackling between them. But almost immediately, Tateno could sense the difference in skill between his opponent and himself. The young woman radiated a deadly aura. The force of her stare was like a knife pressed to his throat. She had borne witness to carnage and bloodshed the likes of which he couldn't even imagine. He couldn't win this. She would kill him guaranteed. Tateno braced himself for death, never taking his eyes off Kanan's. If nothing else, He needed to buy time for Kano to get that password. But could he do that, given the opponent he faced? Yes. Somehow, he would do it. As a detective. As a man. Even if he had to give his own life to succeed. Even if it couldn't come close to making up for the sins he had committed. Alright, I think we are going to finish this today.
Cool.
End of the story. So we just got these two bozos. Why is this a bad end?
Because the bomb exploded, silly.
Oh, I know the choice you gotta make. It's decision time, baby.
Hey, let's make a decision.
So, Achi is sitting down, hanging out with the bomb, giving him a big ol' hug. Kano wants to get him out of there. What's he gonna do? You gotta think. Do something that Kano has never done this entire game. And think.
All right, let's give it a whirl.
He couldn't just rush in without a plan. A detective needed both a cool mind and a fiery spirit. And the more heated the situation was, the more he needed to stay cool. He could feel the muscles in his legs begin to stiffen. He did his best to slow his racing heartbeat as his mind sought desperately for a way out of the situation. But his eyes remained fixed on Achi, holding that bomb in his arms. Knowing that it could explode at any moment made it almost impossible to think. The harder he tried to calm himself, the more his panic grew. He cursed himself for not leaping into action immediately. He should have acted before thinking. That was the only thing he was good at. And still he stood frozen, staring at Achi. Then he felt the hairs rise up on the back of his neck. White smoke was pouring from an approaching minivan. The vehicle teetered to a stop along the shoulder of the road. Still, the smoke spilled out, broiling from a partly open window. What's this all about? Kano could feel a strange chill in the air. What? Instinctively, he rushed toward it. Peering through the minivan's windows, he saw a clunky, box-shaped device in the back. It was rumbling fiercely, spitting out an unending mound of white clumps. A dry ice machine. Kano yelled, banging hard on the door.
Open up!
By freezing a bomb that used an electronic activation trigger, it was possible to kill the battery cell and deactivate the detonator. The explosive ordnance unit used liquid nitrogen, but maybe dry ice could work as well. Liquid nitrogen is nitrogen that has been cooled to a liquid state, which is very, very cold. Meanwhile, dry ice is carbon dioxide in its solid state. It's used for fog machines. The odds are quite low. There's no guarantee that this would actually work.
Oh, let's try it.
There were 3 men inside the vehicle. Kano shouted at the one in the driver's seat. Oh, I only heard Sheen when you said that.
Oh. I need to borrow that Sheen. Hope it's one of the good ones, like Charles.
Who are these guys again?
They're the Wandering Angels, right?
Yeah. I don't remember. Did they have voices before? Maybe.
I don't
they
recall.
I don't recall. I don't have my notebook. I don't know where it went. Huh?
Alright, I'll...
Oh, sorry, I already did it.
No,
The
that's
man
fine.
replied in a lethargic drawl. No way, man. We haven't even paid this thing off yet. There was no time to explain or negotiate. Kano was just going to have to take it by force.
Hold it right there!
Another man appeared suddenly in front of the vehicle, the pushy fellow Kano had run into at the scene of the explosion.
You guys are with that Wandering Angels theater troupe, yep?
He said to the van's occupants. Alright, episode 6. The minivan carrying Tozuka, Banto, and Amo veered wildly through the streets of Shibuya, leaving a trail of white smoke in its wake. The trio, now definitely impaired by oxygen deprivation, came close to causing several accidents. Teetering on the brink of consciousness, they were still trying to reach Endo Electronics when they ran into Kano and his companions instead. After Kano takes the machine off their hands, the three will happily head back to the theater, clean up, crack open some beers, and look back over one long, crazy day. Well, we get the end of their story, too. And he pointed at the dry ice machine.
That thing's defective. The guy from the electronics store said he'd refund your deposit.
Huh? For real?
Yeah, he told me to tell you. The machine's been recalled. We'll bring it back for you, so hurry up and open the door.
Yeah, okay. The newcomer helped the three men unload the dry ice machine from the minivan. Then he turned to Kano.
Here, hurry up and take it.
He shouted.
Hey, thanks.
Kano wasn't sure what was going on, but he took the machine and ran, pushing it ahead of him across the pavement. Hachi! Hitomi wailed, tears in her eyes. The detective blew right past her, trailing a billowing plume of white smoke in his wake.
Let me make it in time. Please, let me make it in time. Please, let me make it in time.
Kano let loose a wild yell. He ran as fast as his legs would take him toward Achi and the bomb. Oh, we can't jump to him yet. Interesting. To be continued.
What? What the heck?
Alright. We gotta finish with Achi. I imagine this is gonna be a keep out. Skipping forward.
Sorry, Suzume. Looks like I won't be able to keep visiting you in the hospital anymore. You'll forgive me though, right? I stuck it through to the end, just like you told me to. I didn't call it quits partway through. And so whatever you do, you can't let that disease beat you. Don't you dare to let it beat you.
Achi drew a deep breath as he finished his solitary little prayer. He couldn't have more than a few seconds left to go. Keep out. Oh. Achi!
Oh,
It was his
I
own.
thought it was Connor.
Sorry. It was a voice that he was glad to hear, as the last thing in this world he'd ever hear. Or so he thought.
Archie, bring the bomb over here!
That wasn't Hitomi's voice. Achi opened his eyes and saw Kano racing toward him, pushing some big weird piece of machinery. The detective flipped open the machine's cover to reveal a huge mound of dry ice.
Stick it in here! Flash freezing the timer on, stop it!
Achi did as he was told, shoving the attaché case into the dry ice. Kano helped him pile more dry ice on top of it.
Let's hope that's enough.
Kano exclaimed. He looked like a man desperate for a miracle. They could see the timer display through the gap in the frozen hydrogen, still counting down. Was this not going to work? Achi and Kano held their breaths.
Oh, I thought I was going to say held hands.
They could be holding hands too. To be continued. Looks like we gotta play the sequel.
Wait, what?
I'm just kidding. There's an epilogue. Great. Let's do the epilogue. Yeah, this is the thing that's affected by those choices. So I can go back and do that today. We're finishing the game today, folks. She felt a hand firmly clutching her own as she hazily returned to consciousness. Who do you think that is? She.
Maria?
Okay, what's her voice again? This hand. Whose is it? My father's? Maria's eyelids slowly drifted open.
Maria, you're all right now.
Her father was indeed beside her, holding her hand. A surprising warmth radiated from his slender, bony palm. I almost said something else there. Dad? She was lying on a sofa. She craned her neck to look around, still trying to process what was going on. There were several monitors set up around the room. Where are we?
My laboratory. You were infected with a virus. But I've given you the antiviral. You don't have anything to worry about.
He squeezed Maria's hand even more tightly. That hurts.
Ah, right. Sorry.
Osawa eased up the pressure on his daughter's hand, but he didn't let go entirely. This feels so strange, Maria muttered, staring up at the ceiling. I wonder why.
What does?
Having you hold my hand.
I used to hold your hand like this when we go on walks together, when you were little. I doubt you remember that, though.
Maria considered. It was true. She didn't have any clear memory of her father holding her hand like this. And yet, the touch of her father's palm felt distantly familiar. Gently, she squeezed back. It's been a while, hasn't it? She said. I mean, me looking you in the eye while I'm talking to you.
That's only because I didn't look you in the eye.
Osawa hung his head.
I'm so sorry.
He said.
Please, forgive me. I never meant to hurt you like I did.
Wait, hold on. Maria was taken aback. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean hurt me?
Back on that rainy day.
Osawa told Maria about the day she'd run away from home. About how he'd known where she had gone, but hadn't gone to find her. About how he'd given in to his anger and struck her once she came back home. When he'd finished, he hung his head once more.
I'm so sorry. I've been such a terrible father.
Maria cracked an impish smile. Oh yeah, I guess that did happen. Osawa frowned. You know, she said, I'd totally forgotten about that. Until you mentioned it just now, I mean.
No, I can't believe that.
Osawa replied.
The way I hurt you.
He sounded so disappointed in himself. Dad,
It's not like I can let myself dwell on each and every detail of my childhood. I mean, in the 19 or so years I've been alive, I've been hurt in lots of different ways. A child experienced so much more than what her parents knew. That was what growing up was all about. It was a happy thing, but also a little bit sad. Osawa was visibly grappling with his feelings.
See,
He said,
I guess you have gone through much pain.
"Well, yeah, but there have been more things that were fun and happy.
I see.
It's the sum of all those things that have made me who I am today. So, please, don't worry so much about the past."
I see.
Dad, you keep saying I see. Stop it.
Sorry. It's just
What's he gonna say?
that I see. This is all so difficult to say.
Then shut up. Osawa was trying and failing to hold back his tears. Maria wasn't quite sure what those tears were for, but she felt a prickle of embarrassment. Dad. Shyly, she looked away, and her eyes alighted on one of the monitors. The screen showed a view from outside the lab. "Who are those people?" she asked, pointing. Osawa looked, and his eyes widened in shock. 3 people with guns were facing off with one another. Maria recognized one of them, Toteno, the man with the cane. Why are those... Oh, never mind. I think that's you.
Wait, this is me? Oh.
Why are those 2 pointing guns at your friend?
Osawa's voice was shaking. My friend? What do you mean?
The one you met when you went to the Middle East. You know, Canaan.
Osawa switched the monitor to show a different camera angle. A close-up of the young woman's face appeared on screen. Maria was at a loss for words. That certainly wasn't Kanan. It was the girl who'd come to tell Maria that Hitomi was going to be kidnapped. Kanan's friend. It had happened 3 days earlier. While Maria was on her way home from campus, a girl approached her, telling her she was a friend of Kanan.
Aiden asked me to pass along a message.
She said. Then she showed Maria a video recording. The video quality was quite poor, and the voice indistinct. Alright, who wants to voice the real Kanan?
I'll do it.
Okay.
It's like, there's a terrorist who's after the antiviral agent your father's developing?
Maria listened in shock as the message continued. The terrorist plan was already in motion, and Hitomi had been infected with a killer virus.
Like, your father used the antiviral to save Hitomi? It's like, but then the terrorists plan on that? And, like, I'll spare the details, but, like, there's a way to extract the antiviral from Hitomi's blood. So stealing it from the laboratory directly is too problematic, and the terrorist intends to get it directly from your sister. Hitomi is certain to be kidnapped sometime in the next few days, and so I have something to ask you. I'd like you to get kidnapped in her place. Since you're twins, it should be possible for you to trade places without the kidnappers, like, realizing it. I get the girl who's passing along this message and necklace, outfitted with a small GPS beacon. Make sure you wear it. Push it on, and it'll allow me to keep tabs on your location. I promise I'll come and rescue you. Please, help me. This is the only way we can keep the antiviral and Hitomi safe.
The video ended, and the girl handed Maria a necklace with an ornate pendant and showed her the hidden switch on the back. Kanan's coming to Japan? Maria asked.
She's already here. She's ready to risk her life for this mission.
Risk your life? Maria started uneasily. So, this terrorist who's after the antiviral drug, is it Alphard? The girl looked shocked.
You know about Alphard?
Well, Kanan told me that taking down Alphard is her purpose in life. But
What?
But Alphard has ties to the CIA, so it's hard for Kanan to get any good leads.
That's true. I do have, which reminds me, you should have this.
The girl held out a photograph. Take a look at this photograph.
This man is dangerous. Stay away from him. He's an ally of Alphard.
Maria did her best to burn the man's image into her mind.
All right.
The girl said.
I've passed along everything Kanan wanted me to tell you. What you do next is up to you.
So wait, what the heck has been going on while I've been asleep? Osawa recoiled from the ferocity on his daughter's face.
A Canaan girl thought of a way to save you.
He went on to explain the plan to get the antiviral out of the locked-down laboratory. Once again, Maria stared at the monitor. As she eyed Kanan's friend, another memory from before she'd blacked out drifted to the surface. Suddenly it dawned on Maria what this girl was planning. She pretended to be Kanan in order to get into the lab, she said, scowling at the image on the monitor. Osawa looked at the screen and then at his daughter's face.
Well, then who in the world is she?
Maria already had the answer. There was no
She's
doubt about it.
Shizuo.
For her money, that girl was Alphard. Sorry, I should have paused there so he could have done the running gag. The
It's
instant
okay.
she realized this, she knew they were in danger. If Alphard managed to infiltrate the lab, there was no way she'd be satisfied with simply getting her hands on the antiviral. She sowed ruin everywhere she went.
Something wrong?
Osawa asked uneasily.
Of course something's wrong.
Mario, what is it?
Maria's mind was racing. She spoke her thoughts out loud. She's going to kill you so the drug can't be recreated. No, that's not thorough enough. She's going to destroy this whole facility. But how? Vague possibilities tumbled through her mind, but she couldn't be sure what the terrorists might be planning. She gritted her teeth in frustration.
Don't worry.
Osawa said.
I don't know who that girl is, but right now, she's outside the lab. There's no way she can kill me, or plant a bomb in here, or anything.
Yeah, I know. Maria gave a tiny nod, but something gnawed at the back of her mind. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Make sure you wear the necklace.
Hurriedly, Maria took hold of the pendant that hung around her neck. As soon as she did, she felt a chill run up her spine. She went back over the details of Alphard's plan as her father had explained it. And then, finally, she understood. I've got it! Osawa straightened up.
About what?
I need to get out there where those three are.
Don't be absurd.
I have to go! Osawa peered closely at his daughter's face. Words weren't going to stop her, and, as he realized that, his own face stiffened with determination.
All right. But I'm going with you. I can't let you rush into danger all by yourself.
Thank you, Dad. Maria tried to get up from the sofa, but she was struck by a wave of vertigo, and her knees buckled.
Are you alright?
Osawa caught her by the arm.
This is probably a side effect of the antiviral. You shouldn't put yourself too much.
Maria looked up at her father's anxious face and shook her head. Don't worry, I'll be okay. Her body was weak with lethargy. Her mind trapped in a disorienting haze. Every step was a monumental effort, but she clenched her jaw and forced herself onward, making her way down the laboratory hallway. A whirlwind of anger and sadness spurred her onward. Alphard was masquerading as Kanan. The cruel truth was all too clear. The terrorists would never have been able to get away with the deception if Kanan were still alive. Which means that Kanan must be... Maria fought to hold back her tears. It was too early to cry just yet. That could wait until after she put a stop to Alphard's plan. Using her rage to suppress her sorrow, she shoved open the door in front of her. That isn't Kanan!
Everyone knows that already.
Maria's voice exploded into the silence of the standoff. I doubt we're getting better testimony than that, Stanley said, his gun still at the ready. There's no talking your way out of things this time. The expression on Alphard's face didn't change. She stood still, a mannequin without a soul. What did you do to Kanan? Maria demanded, marching unsteadily toward the terrorist.
It looks like he's holding his daughter in front of himself as like a human shield.
Maria, stay back. In front of me.
We get a pretty... No, we still just says UT head. We don't get
It's
that
just
clear.
Do
Uken. Duken. UT head. She ignored him.
Hey, don't get any closer.
Toteno barked. He looked exhausted, on the verge of collapse. Answer me, Maria cried, still advancing. What happened to Kanan? But still Alphard said nothing. Stanley too began edging toward her. It doesn't matter what you ask, he said. She won't tell you anything. Bit by bit, he inched closer. He was going to try to take her down.
Let me turn your question around.
Alphard said abruptly.
What do you think?
Maria paused, confused. What do I think about what?
What do you think happened to Kanan?
The corners of her lips twisted up, shaping a mirthless smile. You killed her, didn't you? Maria's words came out as a whisper.
What was that? I couldn't quite hear you.
You killed Kanan, didn't you? This time Maria cried out with biting fury. Alphard snickered. She's provoking me, Maria thought, forcing herself to swallow her rage. She couldn't let herself get caught up in Alphard's game, or her anger would spill out of control. I must not succumb to anger. Why are you laughing? By force of will, Maria had made her voice firm and steady. Because I'm guessing
you...
Oh. Because I'm guessing you weren't expecting me to show up here. Alphard raised an eyebrow ever so slightly. This thing here, it's a bomb, isn't it? Maria held out the necklace. What? Stanley furrowed his brow. Ah, of course. Even if we managed to catch you here, you'd still be able to destroy the lab. Still, the smile remained on Alphard's face. She seemed to enjoy watching the others figure out her intentions. But you can't trigger the bomb with me standing this close to you, can you? Maria locked eyes with Alphard. Unless you're prepared to sacrifice yourself? She stood like an image of bravery, while on the inside her apprehension threatened to tear her apart. She could feel her heart thudding so furiously that she thought it might explode. Cold sweat trickled down her spine. Only her rage at Kanan's murder kept her from backing down. Go ahead and blow yourself up if that's what you want, she said. But you'll die with nothing. Your death will mean nothing, but not mine. My death will avenge Kanan's. Silence fell outside the laboratory gates. Stanley and Tateno stood frozen, their guns still trained on Alphard. Both men were ready to pull the trigger at the slightest provocation. Just how long had they been there, staring one another down? The passage of time seemed to slow, seconds drawn into hours. Just standing there. Osawa made a big swallow. Finally, Alphard tossed her gun onto the pavement and held up both hands in surrender. Stanley wasted no time, springing forward to secure her. He gave her a thorough pat-down from behind. He removed a small device that looked like a detonator from one of her pockets. On your knees. Alphard did as she was told. Good. Now hands behind your head. Try anything funny, and I will shoot. Without a word, Alphard placed her hands on the back of her head, fingers laced together. What are you playing at? Stanley growled disdainfully. Finally realized you can only push your luck so far? She responded with a faint snicker.
Not my policy to resist when things are hopeless.
Her tone was detached, her intentions unreadable. Good. That'll make this easy. Stanley kept the barrel of his gun pointed at Alphard's head. This is for my brother. The words hung in his throat, unspoken. A surge of emotion coursed through him. Just a tiny bit more pressure from his index finger, and he could put a bullet right through Alphard's head. His long journey would finally reach its conclusion. But although he had wished for this moment more than anything, his finger did not move. If he pulled the trigger now, would that truly be the end? His mind reeled at the implications. Tateno watched Stanley closely, eventually letting out a tiny sigh of relief. They were in this together after all. Now they just needed to be careful not to let down their guard. He kept one eye on Alphard as he went to pick up the gun she discarded. But he was too late. The gun was gone. This is for Kanan! Maria had lunged forward, snatching up the gun.
Maria, no.
Osawa cried.
What are you thinking?
She ignored her father, taking aim at Alphard's forehead. Kanan's dead, and you're gonna pay. The smoldering rage she fought to hold back blazed up with renewed fury. Maria, Stanley said calmly, put down the gun. He had nothing but words to stop her. There was no telling what Alphard might do if he took his gun off her. What will this accomplish? What will this accomplish? He asked, keeping his tone as level as possible. Maria's face remained awash with anger.
Maria,
Her father pleaded.
please don't do this.
Tateno took a step forward.
Go on. Hand me the gun.
He said, Stay back! Maria's arm trembled as she aimed the gun. Everyone stood frozen, not even daring to breathe. The slightest wrong move might bring disaster. The silence roared.
I don't care.
Alphard sneered.
If you want to shoot, then shoot. You do want to avenge Kanan, don't you?
Yes. Yes, I do. Maria tightened her grip on the gun. Memories
Do
of her
it.
friend drifted through her mind. To
Do
Maria,
it.
born into peace, meeting Kanan had been like touching a world beyond her own. A far more complicated world. Kanan had blood on her hands from the time she was a little girl. A walking contradiction of cruelty and childishness. And yet, she had lived her life according to her own unshakable beliefs. Meeting her had made Maria think hard about her own identity. What did it mean to be Japanese? No, that wasn't the question. What did it mean to be Maria Osawa? That was the crux of it all. They had been able to find common ground, despite differing ideals, because both possessed an unshakable sense of self. The tense equilibrium came crashing down as Maria let out a shout. This is for Kanan! She pulled the trigger, but her shot went wide, shattering the window of a nearby car. The sudden gunshot caught Stanley off guard. Alphard didn't miss her opening. She rolled swiftly across the pavement, drawing the small pistol she'd hidden in an ankle holster. Maria hastily tried to aim for a second shot. Dad? Osawa collapsed at Maria's feet. Dad! Her father went limp. Stanley dived at Alphard. He grabbed hold of her right wrist, the one clutching the gun, and slammed her head down hard against the pavement. She made no attempt to resist. In a moment, he had subdued her.
Maria, you're not hurt, are you?
Osawa croaked feebly as his daughter gathered him up in her arms. I'm fine. But Dad, you're... Blood was gushing through Osawa's shirt. Maria pressed her hand against the wound, but the bleeding wouldn't stop.
Look, just hurry. Get here as fast as you can.
Tateno was on his cell phone, calling for an ambulance.
I know there's a traffic jam. Just figure something out. Please.
His voice was ragged with desperation. Dad, hang in there. Large tears streamed from Maria's eyes.
So this is what it's like.
Osawa lay with his head in his daughter's lap, struggling to rasp out his words.
My body just reacted before I had any time to think.
Sorry.
It's
I
okay,
finally
you're dying.
understand what a virus must feel like.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
His eyes were hollow.
I never told you to Toby, did I? About what started my fascination with virus research.
Dad, try not to talk right now. Maria squeezed her father's hand. Almost imperceptibly, he squeezed back.
It probably isn't a very interesting story,
He said,
but I'd like for you both to hear it anyway.
we're gonna hear this whole story, aren't we? I know, and we will. After this, I promise we will. Maria's words brought a contented smile to Osawa's face.
I'm glad. So glad.
It's alright. Just don't talk right now.
This time, at least, I was there for you.
Osawa slowly shut his eyes. Dad? Maria said, but her father didn't answer. Dad, don't die! You can't die! The sound of ambulance sirens wailed in the distance. Maria clutched her father's hand, trying to make her grip firm and reassuring, just as his had been for her back inside the laboratory. Please, don't die. She repeated the words inwardly over and over and over. A black car of Ford make arrived at the laboratory and pulled up to the curb. Stanley's superior, Gordon, emerged from the back. A few of his men followed and promptly placed Alphard in handcuffs. I feel like Gordon showed up in a phone call, right? I think you voiced him.
Okay, but we don't have any notes.
Yeah. I might not have written it down either, because I thought that was his only appearance.
Alright.
Well done.
Gordon said. Stanley gave him a slight nod.
I'll be taking Alphard back to headquarters. You can finish up here.
Understood, sir. Gordon shoved Alphard into the back seat and slid in alongside her, and the car drove off.
Who was that just now?
Titano asked Stanley. He's my boss. Sorry, but we'll be taking Alphard into custody.
You will, huh?
Titano frowned, but decided not to press the point. The ambulance arrived at last, and Osawa was loaded inside. Maria remained at his side, still weeping, still softly calling out to him. He could sense her there, though her voice sounded awfully far away.
Is this the end, then?
He was vaguely aware that he was dying, but he was not afraid. At the far end of a hazy tunnel, he could still see Maria. My, had she grown. She had grown so very much. If he were an organism that multiplied by dividing itself, he would die knowing that he had left his best selves behind. He had only one wish now, that Maria and Hitomi would go on to lead happy lives. His vision was growing steadily more dim. Tiny motes of light flickered and wavered faintly before his eyes. It looked a lot like the very first time he had ever peered through a microscope. And that was enough for him. Unexpectedly, Maria's cell phone rang in Stanley's pocket. He'd meant to give it back to her, but the ambulance had already departed. The phone continued to ring for some time, but eventually fell into a death-like silence. (0002) Achi held his breath. He could no longer feel the seconds ticking by. The numbers on the display were changing more and more slowly, but still he watched in fear. 0002. It was impossible not to fixate on the countdown. 0002. 2. Kano and Achi continued to stare at the timer. It had stopped. The timer had actually stopped.
We did it!
Achi dropped to his knees with a cry of triumph. The rest of the Shibuya Scramble burst into cheers.
You wrecked the sky, you know that?
Kano held his hand out. Achi grinned up at him.
That makes two of us.
The two clasped hands firmly, their handshake conveying more than any words could have. Achi! Susumu came rushing over. You did it, man. I knew you could do it. The two bumped fists.
It weren't just me.
Achi said.
Could never have done it without you guys' help.
Susumu smiled bashfully.
Hey, Susumu, take care of SOS for me.
You got it. Susumu looked him squarely in the eye. Achi gave a little nod, and the two solemnly bumped fists again. Suddenly there was a blinding flash. Achi spun around to see Chiaki standing there, beaming happily, her digital camera ready for another shot.
Hey, everyone gather up.
Minotikawa called out to Achi and his pals.
You guys are the heroes of Shibuya.
Oh yeah, I'm Chiaki. Photo time, everyone! Chiaki said. Get ready! The young men struck a pose together. Wait, her too! Minotikawa ushered Hitomi over to stand with Achi.
Hitomi.
Achi stared at her shyly. It was all thanks to Hitomi that he'd been able to do what he had done. Keeping Shibuya safe, keeping his promise to Suzune. Hitomi had been his inspiration for it all. There were so many things he wanted to say, but he couldn't get the right words out. Achi, Hitomi's cheeks were damp with tears.
No. Oh. Hey now, little lady.
Minotikawa called.
No crying now. Come on, show us a smile.
He struck a goofy pose beside Chiaki. At last, the smile returned to Hitomi's face.
It really is the best.
Hitomi looked up at Achi in confusion.
Your smile.
He said.
It's the best. I don't care what anyone else says.
He spoke so earnestly that Hitomi couldn't help but smile even more.
Okay, here we go, people. Get your best faces on.
At Minotikawa's signal, everyone let out a joyous victory cry. That guy is still hanging around in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys, Susumu shouted. Let's lift Achi up where everyone can see him. The members of SOS let out another roar.
Oh, no, you don't gotta do that, guys. Okay, cut it out.
But Achi had already been swallowed by the enthusiastic throng. Heave ho! Heave ho! Heave ho oh oh oh! There, in the middle of the scramble, Achi was being hailed as a hero. Kano looked on with a satisfied smile. What they had achieved together was nothing less than a miracle. It had taken a lot of luck, and more than a few coincidences for them to stop the bomb.
Coincidences?
Kano muttered to himself. No, that wasn't right. This was something different altogether. Fate, that's what it was. And not just one person's fate. The destinies of several people had collided, gathering momentum until coincidence became inevitability, and Shibuya was saved. The raucous crowd tossed Achi high into the air again and again. As a plainclothes detective, Kano would probably never be showered with adulation quite like that. Well, that was alright. A detective's duty was to ensure the safety of the people. He didn't put his life on the line so that he could be a hero. Just seeing all those smiles, that was good enough for him. Kano only needed the approval of one person, and that was Lumi.
Lumi, I hope she managed to get out of Shibuya okay.
Suddenly worried, Kano pulled out his cell phone. There were a whole bunch of things he wanted to tell her. He couldn't share the whole story, police rules wouldn't allow it. but he wanted to let her know as much as he could. That the kidnapping case had been resolved safely, for instance. That he'd learned about the tortured past of a detective he'd so admired. That his partner was going to pull through. That he'd managed to finally talk to her father. That he'd put his life on the line to save Shibuya from danger. Rumi would listen quietly to the very end, and then, Kano thought, he knew just what she'd say. Short and sweet,
See.
in that gentle voice of hers. Good job. And then we're rolling credits, I believe.
All right, let's roll some credits.
All right. Cool. Jack Stanley, played by Jack Woodyard. Ghost of Liberty. Debbie Turner is played by Frank Stanley is played by Debbie Turner. I wonder if this song is going to be a copyright flag. So, what is your opinion? Do you want me to
You know
go
what?
back and we can watch the true ending, or is that we are kind of over time
Maybe we could do that as a little bonus content.
for like next time?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts, impressions? Theories?
You know what? I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good story. Little
Yeah.
bummed that Osawa died. Was not expecting that. But,
The pace slowed down quite a bit at the end, but that's because of all the bad ends.
yeah, and I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, like, I think throughout this playthrough, if I had not purposely chosen, like, stuff that I thought was going to sabotage us,
Oh, yeah,
because
that
it was
guy
kind of funny to me,
Yeah,
that we could have probably finished this, like, 10 hours quicker, but it's okay.
that's fine. Everything is be alright.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit, though. Thought it was
You did miss
was
out
well
on
written.
a few things. There's a couple things I want to show. So that could be there's going to be like a bonus content episode.
nice. I think the folks at home will like that.
Oh yeah. They're gonna watch this and say, I wish there were more. I wish there were more stuff. This probably took a lot of work. There's like makeup
yes.
artists and like photography and stuff.
I think it did. That's why we have all these credits.
Rent was My Way, Common Time by
Look at all those groups.
Charlie. Baby Shoop,
Perfect Suit Factory.
Yu Nakamura, Takeshi Ando, Kenji Ono. Thanks guys to all the people who worked on this game. We got localization. Localization was pretty good. There's a few typos here and there. But I think they did a good job. I didn't know what a
Anyway,
what did you say?
High Cost. You didn't know about High Cost?
High cost?
Yeah.
I was trying to remember one of the tips that was like explained that I actually did already know about. But I can't remember what it was. Chicago.
You didn't know about Chicago.
Everything is be alright. Alright. Gordon and Alphard sat in the back seat as the car sped along the highway.
Here.
Gordon tossed the handcuff key onto the seat beside him.
What happened down at the Scramble?
Alphard asked, picking up the key and unlocking her cuffs.
Leland Palmer was arrested by the Japanese police, and the bomb in the attaché case was defused, apparently. Still, Palmer shouldn't pose a problem once we get him into CIA custody.
I see. Much obliged.
You really got yourself backed into a corner, though, didn't you?
Gordon said.
Yeah, I was only able to accomplish half of what I intended.
Half?
Alphard produced a vial from her pocket. It was filled with red liquid.
Is that Hitomi's blood?
Gordon asked.
Indeed. I managed to acquire the antiviral.
But when?
Gordon peered at her in bewilderment.
When I blew up the minivan.
In the dim light of the vehicle, Alphard's eyes shone darkly, like those of a wounded animal. Extracting the blood from Hitomi while she was unconscious had been a simple matter. Saving the girl's life had been more than just a means of ensuring her trust. Alphard had been looking for the right moment to carry out the extraction. Total secrecy was essential. If it became public knowledge that the drug existed, and that some of it had been stolen, the value of the UA virus would plummet.
Our primary objective here was to destroy that research facility. Still, getting our hands on the antiviral is better than nothing. Well done, as always, Alphard.
Gordon's hard expression softened, but Alphard was in no mood to return his smile. If Maria Osawa had remained inside the facility, her plan would have succeeded. Everything else up until that point had gone off without a hitch. The one thing Alphard hadn't anticipated was Maria bringing the bomb outside. She had injected Maria with a knockout drug back at Endo Electronics that should have kept her from moving around for a while, even after she'd regained consciousness. And in any case, she wouldn't have expected the girl to just march into the midst of an armed standoff. She had been certain that Maria would never leave the lab. She had misjudged how strong the girl's feelings for Kanan were. Maria's body had been put into a state of torpor. There were a bunch of people pointing guns at each other, and still she had been undeterred. Alphard's plan had hinged on Maria's relationship with Kanan, and, ironically, that same relationship had made the plan fall apart. It was true that she'd accomplished half of her goals, but Alphard still couldn't shake her sense of failure. She softly bit her lip as she gazed out through the car window. The bright windows of a few buildings shone out in the midst of the otherwise darkened city. A group of tiny lights that refused to be washed out by the darkness. The end.
Spooky.
But there's a true ending, which we'll see next time.
Oh yeah.
Got any closing thoughts? Any riddles? Oh wait, we got bonus content added to the title screen. We also got a pop quiz. Did you want to look at that pop quiz?
Why don't we save that for the bonus episode?
Okay. So, for the bonus episode, we will do the true ending, and then we'll check out this bonus content.
I think it's my turn to answer the riddles.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So I should pull them up?
Yeah.
Alright. Give me a second. Reader's Digest riddles. Ooh. 27 of the hardest riddles ever Can you solve them?
Yes.
All right. Let me look at these. Oh, these are like actual riddles. Okay. Um. Okay. I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?
Can you repeat the question?
I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I? Hey, what am I? I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?
Wind. What comes alive with wind?
I speak without mouth and hear without ear. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?
It's
that's something?
It's a seashell.
No.
It's a wave.
No.
It's a helicopter seed.
No.
It's a kite.
No.
What is it?
It's an echo.
Oh.
Wait, let me see if there's like a dumb one.
Wait, no. I want to try another smart one.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, that one's dumb. Okay, let me do one of these smart one kind of things. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I?
Map.
Math?
A map. A map.
Yeah, you're right.
Or-
It's a map. You got that one pretty quickly. You want to do another kind of smart one?
Yeah.
Probably easy. You measure my life in hours, and I serve you by expiring. I'm quick when I'm thin, and slow when I'm fat. The wind is my enemy.
You measure my life in hours, and I what? I serve you by expiring?
Yeah, I serve you by expiring. I'm quick when I'm thin, and slow
Oh,
when
it's
I'm
a-
fat.
It's a candle.
Yeah, it's a candle. What is seen in the middle of March and April that can't be seen at the beginning or end of either month?
The letter R.
Yeah, you're getting these.
Well, because all the ones that are like, I'm at the beginning of December, or like, I'm at the beginning of every an end of every envelope, or like, it's always like a letter, you know?
Yeah. You see a boat filled with people. It has
No, I
not
don't.
sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat. Why?
Because the Earth is curved. Contrary to what some people... Wrong? That's
I
a
mean-
perfect answer.
It is the perfect answer. It's not correct though. It's not the answer they're looking for.
Okay, then can you read the riddle again?
You see a boat filled with people. It is not sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat. Why? I don't know what accent that was.
Because they went below deck? Because they got chilly?
You see a boat filled with people. It has not sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat. Why?
Because they went for a swim.
No. The answer is they're all married.
Okay. Okay, now we're getting into stupid territory. All right, let me get one more dumb one.
Let me
And then
see.
we'll-
I gotta
we'll call
skim
it.
them for
Okay.
like the super dumb ones. That one's kind of cool. Ba 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 da ba ba da ba. Hmm. Maybe that one. That one's too easy. I don't know if this is a dumb one. Maybe it is, but I think you're gonna love it.
Okay.
How can you physically stand behind your father while he is standing behind you?
Is the answer adult in nature?
Unfortunately, no.
Wait, read it again. How do you stand inside your father while he's inside of you?
Close. How can you stand behind your father while he is standing behind you?
By standing back to back?
Yeah, standing back to back.
Oh yeah. I did pretty good. The father thing was classic diversion.
Yeah. What can you hold in your right hand but never in your left hand?
Your left hand.
Yep. What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years?
The letter M. Like you see, those will
Yeah, these
always
are-
be
these
easy.
are- yeah. This one is the one I was thinking. First you eat me, then you get eaten. What am I?
First you eat me, then you get eaten.
Yeah.
Like some
Whatever.
sort of bait, like like a worm on a hook or something.
Yeah, you're close. It's supposed to be a fish hook.
Oh, that's what I just said.
But yeah. 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 These are all right. That single one was pretty dumb.
That one was quite dumb. I was not disappointed. I mean, I was disappointed. I was not disappointed that you.
That I read it
I
to you.
expected to be disappointed, and you did not disappoint.
How can the number 4 be half of 5?
How can the number 4 be half of 5? Because it's IV, and so it's like FIVE, and half of that is IV.
Oh yeah. Alright, maybe this one will be a tough one. I don't know, we'll see. What word in the English language does the following? The first 2 letters signify a male. The first 3 letters signify a female. The first 4 letters signify a great, while the entire word signifies a great woman. What is the word?
Okay, can you repeat the conditions?
The first 2 letters signify a male.
Okay.
The first 3 letters signify a female.
Okay.
The first 4 letters signify a great, while the entire word signifies a great woman. Maybe this isn't that hard.
A great? Like spelled GRATE or something?
Great.
Signifies a great? What the hell is a great?
Great.
Like Nate the Great?
Great. I guess so.
A great?
A great. Great used as a noun instead of an adjective.
A
Or
great.
adverb.
Okay. It's a male, and then a female, and then you add one more letter, and it's a great, whatever that is. And then it says that what's the whole word signifies a great woman.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing something. So it's like you take some boy's name and add one letter, and it's a girl's name, and then you add another letter, and it's a great, whatever that is. And then
Altogether it's a great woman.
I don't know. I don't like this one. What is it?
Heroine. First 2
He,
letters.
her, hero,
Yeah.
heroine. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I talked it up a bit and got you off
No,
your
no,
game.
no, no. It's fine. It's fine. I just went down the wrong path. A great thing annoyed me. I think
great.
In the name of cuteness, I think they sacrificed a bit of much needed clarity. But that's
A
okay.
great.
A great. Like would you?
Yeah, I would be confused by that too. But a great woman feels like if you got he and her,
Yeah.
great woman,
Then
you kind of, yeah.
you could get there. You could get there.
Lateral thinking puzzles, huh? Hmm. Interesting. All right, I'll just do one more. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, this is one of those things when we used to play at work.
Yeah.
A woman opened a door, screamed, and then was found dead a few minutes later. No gunshots were heard in the area. What happened to her?
A woman opened a door, screamed, and then was found dead a few minutes later. No gunshots were heard in the area. What happened to this poor woman? What did the detectives find out?
She accidentally opened the door from like an airplane or a spaceship or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. She was on an airplane and opened the door while the plane was in flight. She fell to her death.
Why did she do it though? That
They were playing Spyfall, and they're on the airplane. She was the spy, and one of the players asked, "Hey, can you open the door?" And she said yes.
and when you die in Spyfall, you die in real life. I love it.
It's been a while since we played Spyfall, huh?
It has.
Maybe next game night. It depends on how many people show up. Anyway.
Is this still recording?
Yeah, we're
This is
still
so
recording. That's we finished 428 Shibuya Scramble, but we're going to continue to check out like this bonus stuff next time. So there's gonna be a next time. And then what are we gonna do afterwards? Did you want to do Final Fantasy?
We might be doing a spicy playthrough of the original Final Fantasy, yeah. If we can find a good ROM or whatever.
ROM, maybe I'll
Are you allowed to say ROM on YouTube? Maybe not.
I don't think so.
We'll edit that out in
I was
post.
planning on because there's like that, what's it called, Pixel Remaster thing that came out on Steam. I might pick that up.
Oh, okay. Then we'll do it legally.
So then
Even better.
You'll see if what's different, if anything's different.
Sweet.
So yeah, next time we're gonna really hunker down and check out the last bits of what Shibuya Scramble has to offer. No, I'm not going to spoil anything about what could possibly happen. So yeah, see you guys next time.
You folks.